Hey, this is Jody Denberg, and this is KUTX at home. And today we're going to make ourselves at home with Citizen Cope, Clarence Greenwood. Clarence, it's good to see you, and I'm not sure that you are at home. Where are you at?
I'm at a recording studio and about to doing some mixing on the acoustic record that I'm working on right now.
Have you been spending your time in Brooklyn or in Los Angeles since?
I've been in Los Angeles this whole time, so the studio just took some measures to make sure everything was clean and social distance, and I was able to get back in. I still had some adjustments to do in another song to cut, so kind of did that.
Where does your daughter live?
She lives here. She lives with me.
So you guys have been together during this period.
Yes.
How did having a daughter change your music? Because that's a big deal in someone's life. And how old is your daughter?
My daughter is 9. Uh, I don't know how it changed the music. I think it just basically reinforces what we as people, being able to have that joy and also just reinforces the importance of life, I think. And I've always been kind of like with my music have been kind of empathetic to the oppressed and the struggling uh, group of people, and it just made it that much more important with that.
I noticed on your website there were still listings for some shows in July and August too. Are you thinking that's going to happen, or are you waiting and see?
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we'll be playing music for a long time. I mean, that's just my theory. I don't think that's coming around for a long time.
That's so intense. I had a couple of months off the radio, but now I'm back there in a clean, proper, socially distanced way. And it's better for me as a human because I get to do my thing and express myself. Since you can't play for audiences, is this the time then that you're putting your energy into these new records that you're working on?
So I started my own streaming company because I'd done the Instagram lives and the Facebook lives, and the quality, there were glitches and all this. So I started, I wanted to have professional audio and professional video, and started ticketing these events. And a lot of artists that were interested in using the service. So we did our first non-cope show, which was Winona Judd, and we've got Alice Smith doing 5 of them, and we got a couple really big artists that are about to schedule something this week. So it's been pretty amazing.
What's the name?
I'm calling it Lifeline, which is one of my songs that I wrote.
And you're no stranger to being an entrepreneur. You have your own record company as well, Rainwater Recordings.
Yes.
And that's the label that you put out your most recent album, Heroin and Helicopters, on.
Yes, yes, yes.
That,
You know, I think during times of, you have to innovate. Like just during times like this, it was a situation I knew that there wasn't going to be the opportunity to put to do shows. So I had to innovate a way to still get to my people, and I felt like, and I thought artists were devaluing themselves by doing a lot of the free stuff. So it turned out to be something where it was ticketed, and my fans really loved it. And, kind of feel like, I didn't just disappear on them. So it was like an ability to see a real intimate performance, like I'm just singing a song in a room, where like if we're all just sitting around, and it was kind of I create spiritually as well, and it almost different than a show, because especially with the intimacy of an acoustic performance, there wasn't clinking glasses or people talking, or most of my shows the fans are really the audience is really respectful, but sometimes if it's in the concept of a bar, that gets kind of hard because, you know, people are trying to push the liquor and all that kind of stuff. So, but as far as entrepreneurship goes, it just, you know, I started the label because, you know, I've been with the majors and I realized that my subject matter probably was a deterrent for kind of mainstream accessibility. And I realized that when I was doing a radio promo thing and I was pushing the song Bullet in the Target, and then I heard John Mayer, Your Body is a Wonderland on the radio, and it kind of put a light bulb in my hand. I'm like, oh, the rest of the country doesn't really think like me. So I was like, well, if I'm going to give most of the ownership away to a corporation, it's going to own my stuff in perpetuity throughout the universe, then I should at least be able to access some of the other marketing and promotional avenues that they have access to. And with my subject matter, I just think it makes it difficult.
Well, you were talking about the intimacy of playing acoustically and one-on-one, and I want to ask you about one of two new records that you're working on, the acoustic record. But this seemed like a perfect time that it's just me and you. Maybe you can pick up your guitar and play whatever you want to play. Give us a song if you don't mind.
Oh, right now? Okay.
Yeah, if you want to.
Sure. This is called Scared of Heights. It deals kind of with overcoming fear. Lay down, roll weary traveler. Hey, now come as you are. Before you're finally delivered, you're gonna have to answer a call. It's a full moon when you look up. It's all in tune when you look up. Learning to fly when you're scared of high. It's a balloon when you wake up. It's all in tune when you wake up. Learning to fly when you're scared of heights. Some get put off by silence because the truth it carries some weight. How did we gain our alliance? Some truths were just meant to take. It's a full moon when you look up. It's all in tune when you look up. Learning to fly when you're scared of height. It's a balloon when you wake up. In tune when you wake up. Learning to fly when you're scared of height. Too close to the flame, get burned. A penny saved is a penny earned. So glad to have this lesson learned. Ooh, too close to the flame, get burned. A penny saved is a penny earned. Sad to have this lesson learned. It's a balloon when you look up. It's all in tune when you look up. Learning to fly when you're scared of height. It's a full moon when you wake up. It's all in tune when you wake up. Learning to fly with scared to hide. Learning to fly when you're scared of heights. Learning to fly. Learning to fly. Learning to fly. Learning to fly.
Thank you, Clarence.
All right.
Road Weary Traveler, a new song
Yeah.
from Citizen Cope, a song about dealing with fear and something we're all dealing with in these uncertain times. No pun intended. You coping okay, you and your family?
Yeah, everybody's all right. You know, spiritually been kind of challenged, you know, as far as you know, I had a hard day yesterday, obviously with what's going on with uh the Black Lives Matter movement and you know, so many people close to me and so it's been a challenging spiritual time.
Well, one good thing is that you can heal with music. That was a healing song. I find a lot of your music healing. The song Justice comes to mind. You mentioned that you're working on two different records. One's an acoustic record and one's a band record.
Well, it's more, yeah, there's instruments in the other one. The acoustic record kind of started, I did a record called Shotguns that never came out and was kind of like a concept record um, about a friend killing his friend in a hunting accident. And that record never came out. It was supposed to come out. It was supposed to be my first album, but I got dropped from the label. And there's so many good songs on there that I just, you know, I kind of didn't want to put it out or I didn't have the access to, and now I got the rights to put it back out. So I'm just did it in acoustic form because that's how I wrote the songs initially, and before I went to record them, and then I had some new songs on there that a couple new songs. So it's kind of like a mixture of some new stuff and some stuff that I'd never released before.
And the most recent record, the full length album that we got was last year, Heroin and Helicopters. And that title trips me out. And then I think I heard the story of the title had something to do with Carlos Santana.
Yeah, well, first time I met Carlos Santana was at the Fillmore in San Francisco. I played a show, and he came to the show. He came backstage, and he says, "Whatever you do, stay away from the two H's." And I was wondering what the two H's were, and he said heroin and helicopters. He said, "Don't use heroin and don't fly in helicopters." And years later, 15, 16 years later, I was thinking about the name of what I was going to call the album. And I felt like what Carlos just said, somewhat prophetic and somewhat poignant in a lot of ways, because I had, after a lot of shows, I got people coming up saying that they'd kind of overcome heroin addiction, or their son or brother or somebody had overdosed and died, and you know, the opioid epidemic and derivatives of this drug had contributed to so much downfall in society and substance abuse, and and it kind of made sense with not just the addiction to substances, but the addiction to our cell phones and our social media, and addictions to conflict in general. That I think we've become such a you know, scared to have differences of opinions, and those different political and social and cultural differences have not allowed us as humankind to kind of tackle some of the bigger issues that we have, like cancer or public education, or let alone uh, bringing up the discussions of race. And so so we and the helicopters part kind of was an analogy for how we're kind of in a rush to get somewhere and not realizing that we're in the journey, and that we're kind of in the moment, and we're at our destination as we speak. So um you know, we're kind of taught to go after something next and bigger and better, and kind of you know, taking us out of the moment, kind of the ancient wisdom that's been forgotten over the years, that all the spiritual texts really talk about and discuss, from Christianity in the Bible, to Hinduism and Buddhism and Islam, and the main texts, and even prior to those texts being written, I think there's kind of a underall theme that they all share, which is kind of being in the moment. And I think all these people, and whether you're religious or not, those were the things. And I think people kind of took their own interpretation of each text and made them about governing people once the government came in. And that's why, I think a lot of people have trouble with religious dichotomy, but, those texts, had a lot of wisdom in it.
Definitely a full circle deal. First of all, on a literal basis, Carlos lost two people that he loved, Bill Graham and Stevie Ray Vaughan, in helicopter crashes.
Yeah,
And
that's why I talked about that. I think that was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but it really meant something to him, obviously, and he probably seen a lot of destruction through drug addiction. And like people like Carlos and Eric Clapton and Mick Jagger, and these guys have, these legends, um and have seen a lot of their peers not make it, so they're kind of the last men standing in a lot of ways. And so you got to pay tribute to the fact that they've done what they've done, and they've overcome what they've overcome as well, because it's really not easy to be a musician or a traveling musician that gets notoriety. The notoriety can take you down. The substances can take you down. You can lose your family, your finances can be messed up. All these things are potential things, let alone the kind of mental health of people doing this usually is unstable when they come into it, because they've had certain things that they want to express through the arts. And usually, unfortunately, people have usually gone through some type of personal trauma.
well, in a beautiful sense, things have come full circle. Carlos Santana, he recorded one of your songs. You've been on stage with Eric. You've been on stage with Carlos. And today, talking to Citizen Cope in LA, I'm in Austin, Texas. You spent some time in Texas. Tell me, when did you spend time here?
I was there in the early 90s. I was there and live in, I think, South First or South Third Street, one of those in the South. And I had a cheap little house with Matt Looney, legend, Austin legend Matt Looney. And he was basically spent a lot of time learning. I'd gotten a drum machine and started learning to record and my own songs, and kind of the genesis of what I was doing. And had one of the first show Citizen Cope performance ever was at the Old Black Cat in Austin.
Well, it's good to come full circle with you today. I'm glad that you and your family are healthy and well in Los Angeles. I'm glad that you're in a studio and making two new records that we're all going to enjoy here in the future. Clarence, Citizen Cope, thank you for spending time with us for KUTX at Home. Continued good health and well-being to you and your family. And when that new music comes around, please get it to us.
All right. And thank you, Jody, and everybody on the staff that has continuously played my music over the years. I see you guys tweeting, oh, I played this song, I played that song. I really, really appreciate the people in Austin and you guys as a community for supporting the music and being there for me over the years. I really appreciate that. And I always love coming to play there. I always love coming to Austin and enjoying the cuisine and all the different opportunities and seeing how the city has changed over the years. And it's beautiful to be kind of accepted in a place that you love.
Well, we will see you when you return, and hopefully sooner than later.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
Take care, my friend.
All right, you too.